Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. This is like a bonus episode. So if you listened to the episode that I just published yesterday, the one with Sarah Stevens from Midwest Hemp Technology, you heard at the end where I was like, hey, I think I'm trying to put together a special episode about the Asian Hemp Summit. Or, sorry, more correctly, the Asia International Hemp Expo 2022. This past Saturday, I was in my house. I think I was doing dishes and my phone rings, and it's my friend Brian Wilson, not from the Beach Boys, but from Eli, a hemp processing company down in Texas. And he was like, hey, why is everybody in Thailand right now? Why? I thought we were building the industry here in the US. I thought we were developing supply chains here domestically. What's the deal? Why is everybody over there? And I didn't have a really good answer for him. I was like, I don't know, I guess they wanted to go to Thailand. But it got me thinking, why was everybody over there? I don't know, if you're on any of the social media stuff where, and you're plugged into the hemp conversations, you saw that, a bunch of people were in Thailand, in Bangkok. So that's what this special episode is. Why was everybody in Thailand last week? So I called up Morris Beegle from Let's Talk Hemp and NoCo, and I talked to Gregg Gnecco at IND HEMP, and I also talked to Mandi Kerri from the Global Hemp Association. And so what you're about to hear are my conversations with the three of these, just to hear about why they were there, what they were doing, what they saw, what happened, all of that stuff. So basically it's to answer Brian's question from Saturday, what's everybody doing in Thailand? So Brian, if you're listening, I hope this satisfies your curiosity. For the rest of you, I hope it also satisfies your curiosity, and I hope you learn something too. So, okay. Oh, hey, by the way, my name is Eric Herlock. I'm the digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper. So, all right. So it's a special episode. So I'm not going to run any sponsor spots. I'm not going to give you any news nuggets. I'm just going to get into these phone calls. Let's first talk to Morris Beegle. Hey, Morris Beegle, how are you?
Doing good, Eric Herlock. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. So you are on your way back from Thailand, right?
That is correct. I'm currently sitting in the San Francisco airport.
All right. And so this was the Asian Hemp Summit. Do I have that right?
The Asia International Hemp Expo.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me about it. What was it like?
Surprisingly, it was quite good. And I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly. It was better than anticipated based on, I've been kind of involved in the conversation with this event, I don't know, since maybe May. I was brought into the conversation by Paul Stanford, who's a hemp historian, cannabis historian that's here on the West Coast in Oregon. Brilliant man. And he brought me into the mix. The organizer of the forum part of it, which is the International Environmental Hemp Forum, there was one that was done in Kyoto, Japan back in 2016. And so this was the second annual Environmental Hemp Forum that was tagged on to the expo itself. So really the conference portion of it was this environmental forum that this guy Takashi from Japan started. And then they had the expo, and that the Thailand Hemp Association is the one who organized the whole thing and basically laid out the programming for all the speakers that Takashi had brought in, which I was one of those. And then the Thailand group basically organized all the exhibits and sponsorship and travel and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was brought in as a speaker back a while ago, and then I reached out to Patrick Atagi to see if the National Industrial Hemp Council was interested in participating and maybe sponsoring and throwing some money, because they've got this USDA MAP grant, which is a marketing grant to bring American companies and proprietors overseas to different markets to work on trade and export. And we got those details worked out, which thus allowed a USA delegation to come to the event, which included Mandi Kerri, Gregg Gnecco from IND HEMP, Chad Rosen, Guy Tim, who's got a CBD company. I can't remember the name of the CBD company right off the top of my head, but Patrick kind of coordinated getting those folks involved. And so there was a whole U.S. delegation that went out there, and we had a booth and walked the floor. I spoke on a couple panels. Patrick spoke on a couple panels. And overall, I thought it was a really solid event. There was 5,000 plus people, a good expo hall floor of exhibitors, a lot of good energy. It reminded me of like NoCo 2018.
Okay, cool. Were the conversations like the standard hemp conversations, or is there like different things happening outside the U.S. that we're not even aware of?
Well, they were kind of standard hemp conversations and cannabis conversations because Thailand legalized all lanes of cannabis. So they've got recreational adult use dispensaries, they've got medical, they've got CBD, they've got industrial hemp going. And so they really flipped the switch like 6 months ago on the adult use. And they've actually been researching industrial hemp for 15 years now. It's been like a priority of the monarchy there. So they're a monarchy. They've got a king and a queen, but I think that the last king is dead and the new king is yet to take the throne, and the queen's kind of running things. But they put out these initiatives that then become policy, and so they're really quite supportive of agriculture and small farmers, and they've laid out rules and regulations that are probably more beneficial to the hemp and cannabis space in Thailand than any other market in the country. All the people from the USA and Canada and Europe are like, God, I wish our regulations were like this.
What are some of the differences?
Well, it's just that they're not overregulated. They're very supportive. They speak positively about the industry. They're supportive of entrepreneurship and putting money into the industry and not demonizing it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have to do all these, spend a bunch of money for licenses and testing and all of this stuff. They obviously want to make clean consumer products, but it's just a different energy with the government being like a partner in the industry rather than an adversary, which is often what it feels like here and in Europe.
Sure.
So it's like we were all just really, it's like, wow. They had a bunch of government officials there. The Minister of Health spoke. They had a lot of people speaking from the government when they did their opening ceremony, and just super friendly and, again, very positive about working with the industry and developing an industry. And you'll see other countries in the Asian market surrounding Thailand that will adopt these policies over the course of the coming years.
Were there any surprises? Like what sort of caught you off guard?
No, that was a surprise to me, just how supportive the industry was and how far along they were in certain aspects. There's a big emphasis on CBD, and they've got people that are setting up extraction facilities. And I think that they'll run into the same problems that we've run into here in the United States and in Europe with an oversupply. Everybody's excited about doing that until all of a sudden there's too much and you're not going to be able to make any money. They're also very supportive of making sure that the Thai groups are running the show and they're not having a bunch of out-of-country international people coming in and setting up shop and dominating and leaving the Thai people out to hang, so to speak. So that's positive too.
Cool.
I think there's opportunities to work within the market and do business there, and that's the reason we were there. We also got to meet delegates from like Korea and Vietnam and Malaysia and China and India. So it was a really good international event. And I got to see a lot of people that I've known for a while. And on the backside of it, I got to go hang out at Ben Dronker's place in Pattaya. It's the Cincy Villa. And there was like a dozen of us that stayed there after the event. And it was really cool.
Nice. So were there some deals made between the Americans and the Thais?
I'm not exactly sure what Chad and Greg and those guys walked away with. There was a deal that was coordinated with Weaving Vibes, who's from India and who was at NoCo. They were the Indian folks that were doing textiles. Do you remember them?
I do. Yep.
And so they were there, and they're just so sweet, such nice people. And Greg's probably going to talk to you if he hasn't talked to you already.
I haven't talked to him yet.
Maybe I should leave this for him to talk about, because he's really the one who kind of facilitated it.
Okay.
I'll let him kind of tell the story, but it's a really cool story. The Weaving Vibes folks will be back out at NoCo, and they're involved in this mix with a thing that Greg's doing and some Thai folks are doing. So
cool.
That's exciting. And I think that we'll be going back again next year. They were really grateful to have an international group come and share knowledge and experience and help them get through this first event. So there was just good energy all the way around. I'm really glad that we could all make it happen.
Yeah. Out at the expo, on the expo floor, were there some products that kind of blew your mind, or anything worth mentioning?
Not really. I mean, they were doing some board products, composite material stuff that's similar to what folks are working on here and in Europe. Okay. And I didn't really see any food products. Well, there was actually a hemp honey, or a honey with hemp root in it that Paul Benham gave me, but I think it was somebody from Thailand that was making that. So had CBD beverages, and there wasn't anything super new and innovating there that I saw.
Right. Was the language barrier an issue at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't speak as much English as, let's say, Japan or some of the other Asian countries. But yeah, that was probably the most difficult thing, was the language barrier. Yeah.
And this was in Bangkok?
That's Bangkok.
What was the city like? What was the whole, just being, had you been there before?
No, first time. And it was very bustling. The traffic's crazy. You got scooter bikes all over the place, zooming in and out of traffic. I mean, the traffic was pretty nutty. It's probably the craziest traffic I've been in a foreign city. But Paul Benham said, hey, you think this is bad? You got to go to Vietnam and see what it's like there. But the food was great. I ate more Thai food in the last week than I've eaten in my, last 10 years probably.
I guess it's all Thai food, right?
Oh, it was great. It was really, really, really delicious food. And great energy from everybody that was out there. No drama, which was nice.
Nice. How about like a focus on regenerative agriculture or, climate change mitigation? Or were those parts of the conversations?
Yeah, because it wasn't an environmental forum, we did speak about that during the conference. And the Thai government does have an emphasis on utilizing natural farming practices and organic regenerative type practices. And one thing is there is a fair amount of pollution out there. So that's kind of a drag. I mean, there's like trash on the side of the road. They could stand to pick up more of their garbage. And what I think would be great was that you've talked to Nick Walters about his gasification system on your show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The renewable natural gas.
Exactly. Yep. So popping several of those things in Thailand. I messaged Nick when I was out there. I was like, man, you want to talk about a country that could use your technology? You have these people going and picking up all this trash off the road and mix it in with the waste, the bio waste in your magic formula, and they can power the country. So that's an initiative that I'm going to actually try to see if I can get his project in front of the right governmental people there. But if Nick's system actually works like they say it can work and think that it can work, I think that would be a great alternative for particularly Thailand. I'm sure there's other countries out there that have got similar type trash problems.
Cool. That's really interesting. So you're headed back to Colorado now, and I guess you're starting to get into the planning stages for the next NoCo?
Yep, we're already knee deep in NoCo right now. So yeah, I'll be back in Colorado here this afternoon, and then it's full on NoCo.
All right. Well, so tell me what the dates are and like what to look forward to this year.
Dates are March 29th, 30th, and 31st. We're moving it to the Broadmoor Resort and Convention Center in Colorado Springs, which was just a fabulous venue. It's been there for 100 years, brand new convention center and meeting space. Largest space symposium in the world is held there every year. We're really looking to expand our footprint on the environmental and industrial side and inviting in Fortune 500 companies and bigger corporations to take a look at implementing hemp into their supply chain in the coming 3 to 5 to 10 years, helping out their ESG programs, goals, and so forth. We've got 3 conferences. We've got a policy and advocacy conference on the 29th, a business and investment conference on the 30th, and then agriculture and academia conference on the 31st. We've probably already got 50 or 60 speakers confirmed. There's a lot of interest from a lot of people coming in from all parts of the world to be part of this. So we're excited. And we've got First Citizens Bank back as our presenting sponsor after coming off of Southern Hemp Expo, and they were really happy with the results they got there, and they're all about supporting hemp, and so they're back on as a presenting sponsor. And I think that the banking opportunities are just going to continue to improve for our industry and hopefully for the other side of the industry on the adult use side. So we can start breaking down these barriers and getting both of these industries moving in the right direction rather than all being tied up with overregulation and just, investment being a bit scarce because everybody's just waiting for the market to change a bit.
Right.
It comes down to the whole regulatory side of things, and I'm optimistic. I just hope it happens sooner than later.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds like it's going to be an excellent convention this year.
Yeah, and hopefully you can make it back to it.
I would love to be there. Yeah, we'll keep in touch on that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hope you have safe the rest of your journey back home, and thanks for taking some time to tell me about the Asian Hemp Expo.
It's great to talk to you, Eric. I'm going to go find myself some San Francisco sourdough and clam chowder.
All right. Thanks, Morris. We'll talk soon.
Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye. Gregg Gnecco, Marketing Director for IND Hemp. Welcome back to the United States. You were just over in Thailand. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, a little bit jet lagged. My body doesn't necessarily know what time zone I'm in, but it's good to be home and good to have traveled.
Cool. Well, I was talking to Morris Beegle a little bit ago, so I have some idea what was going on, but I wondered if you can just tell me what you were doing over in Thailand, what this Asian Hemp Summit was all about.
Yeah, so it was a really great opportunity, and we definitely need to give a shout out to Patrick Atagi and the National Industrial Hemp Council. And for those that haven't heard a lot about them, they've really been working to open up the foreign market access program. And if you remember, I think it was a year, maybe 2 years ago, they actually got a USDA grant for work with the Foreign Ag Service, the FAS, and the MAP, which is the Market Access Program, to coordinate support of USDA funds to examine international trade opportunities. So there was this Thai Hemp Expo. Thailand has just fully embraced legalization of cannabis and hemp, and it's the first Asian country to do so. So there was a lot of excitement because this expo was the first gathering of a whole continent around hemp. And so NIHC put together pretty much last minute opportunity to take a delegation of U.S. companies that could join, and we were invited at IND HEMP, so we joined and went with Morris Beegle from NoCo and Let's Talk Hemp.
Yep.
Then Mandi Kerri from Global Hemp Association, as well as Tim and Brian McCarthy from United Extracts out of North Carolina, CBD company, and Chad Rosen from Victory Hemp Foods joined us as well.
Wow, that sounds like a great group.
Good group to go to represent America in this new land.
Yeah, and you were like essentially the only Americans there?
Yeah, there was a few other people kind of working through that were in Asia that came through, but officially, yeah, I would say. And then some other speakers as well, and they did a great job bringing really kind of the who's who of hemp from Europe, from Canada, and from the U.S., as well as other countries to participate in this inaugural event.
Cool. So what was it like? What did you see? Who did you meet?
Well, first and foremost, it's exciting to see hemp and cannabis embraced in an area of the world where it formerly hadn't been, right? And so it was both cannabis and hemp related. So there was a lot of, there was everything from the Dutch seed sellers there selling seeds to the light makers and, all of the cannabis side. I mean, there are dispensaries on the streets of Thailand right now. You can walk down the street as if you were in Oregon and walk in and, buy buds off the shelf. It's not all quite legal. It's kind of interesting, but it's out there. And so they're embracing all of this. And because of that, it really brought a wide range of people. I met people from all over the world, specifically Asia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Korea, Vietnam, all of these countries, because Thailand's the first ones to embrace it, and they all see the wave of hemp and cannabis legalization rolling across the world. And it was really those interested people that are ready in their countries to embrace it once it grows into their land.
Right. That's super cool. So what was the expo hall like? Was like once you were inside, was it kind of like being at NoCo, or was it like very distinctly different, that you were in a foreign country?
No, it was definitely similar. I mean, there was everything from like grow booths where people had, live plants in the booth showing off their lights or nutrients, to the universities that are working to develop things. So a lot of the products that you see us working on over here, either fiberboard products or hempcrete projects, we're working with insulation projects over here. You kind of see the early tests that students are working. Mm-hmm. But it was really exciting because it was this feeling of discovery that it's happening now, but because we've already had things happen in the U.S. and in Europe and Canada especially, it's kind of that next step, right, in the world where it's hard to describe. The energy was palpable.
Yeah. Cool. You were there representing IND Hemp. Were you able to make, like business connections, or did you develop some supply chain connections, or talk about some of that like business side of things?
Yeah, so from the business side, and some may wonder, especially a company like IND Hemp, we're so focused on building an American infrastructure. What are we doing going overseas? Mm-hmm. And the easy way to describe that is, you've been to our place, Eric, you've seen what we built, and we built to scale a growing American industry. And we've got a lot of great companies, specifically Hempitecture. I heard just today the first hemp wool came off the line made with Montana fiber. We've been working with Guy Carpenter on textiles. We're starting to make woven spun, projects. We're getting into non-wovens. But all of these companies in the U.S. are building and just starting up. And IND Hemp a couple of years ahead, and we scaled up to supply a growing U.S. market. And what that means, quite frankly, is we got a lot more stuff right now than people in the U.S. are ready for. Yeah. And when we talk about our mission at IND Hemp, first and foremost is to serve opportunities for our farmers and our growers. And right now, the best thing that we can do for our growers that are considering whether to grow fiber for us next year, as well as these businesses that are looking to use our materials, is to get this stuff moving. We can't sit on those bales of fiber that we've processed. We need to find some international outlets. And what I say is merge into existing infrastructure that's already using these materials while everybody in the U.S. is scaling up that can use more of these materials. So my primary goal, aside from eating as much Thai food as I could and having a good time with people in the industry, was specifically looking for other existing supply chains where we could work with our fiber.
Nice. And did you find some potential business?
We did. And, I will say, we're only on the ground for 4.5 days. So, there's a lot of work to be done. But really, There's a good opportunity in India these days. And we made a great connection with a weaving group called Weaving Vibes, Sripat and his wife. They've actually been to the U.S. and visited NoCo last year. And they're a third-generation weaving family. Their family's got a large fabric import-export business. And much in the way that we here are aligned with hemp and what it can do for the planet, their grandparents did a lot with polyester and cotton blends, and they see hemp as a better way. They're also working with bamboo fiber, and so they've developed this brand, Weaving Vibes, within the company, and so they have all the resources of an existing large weaving company to produce fabrics that are made with hemp cotton blends, hemp bamboo blends. And so, yes, we made a connection there. We actually made a connection with a local tailor in Thailand. A few of us are going to get some of the first hemp sports jackets made over there. But really it was connecting the dots to show that, these guys make the material, other guys make the products, and there's still a step of refining the fiber into the yarn. But we've had a few other touch points prior to this trip with companies in India, and we really see India being a good next step for receiving that fiber. And I can go into it a little more. What I was able to learn is right now, most of the raw material fiber is coming from China. Mm-hmm. And so you have the Indians that have their own products, and they want to be separate from China, but that China anchors around their ankle as they're moving forward. Right. Meanwhile, all of the demand for hemp fiber in the world, China is the leading producer. Hemp Vortex is the leading fabric maker. And as they get more demand, they're keeping more of that fiber they're growing in country. Mm-hmm. So you have a country like India is looking for another raw material stream. And the important footnote here is that they do not have legal hemp production in India yet. Similar to how the U.S. had cannabis in the early years, there's a couple of states that allow it, but they don't have widespread production. So you've got these mills, and you've got multiple companies that are capable of refining, cottonizing, and spinning hemp fibers, and with the will and ability to do so. But right now, their only raw material stream is China. So it's a great opportunity to connect our American farmers, our Montana farmers, to that supply chain. And as well, Montana's in the middle of nowhere, and Montana only exports to a few countries, but Montana is actually a large supplier of lentils, dry peas, and chickpeas to India. Oh, wow. We're really hoping that we can align with some other export efficiencies of the other crops that Montana already exports.
Wow, that's really smart. That's awesome. Cool. And then, so had you ever been to Thailand before?
I had not. I was very fortunate. In the life I've lived till now, I've done a lot of international travel for business, but I had never been to Asia. And so I was very excited to go to Asia and in this context of representing hemp as it grows around the world.
Yeah,
so very great
super
experience.
Cool. So describe to me the city of Bangkok, if you can. I mean, I imagine it's just this huge metropolis.
Take downtown New York City high-rises, mm-hmm. and copy-paste that about 15 times in a circle all the way to Jersey, and that's Bangkok.
Wow. That's quite a description.
It's a high-rise city that's never-ending. The streets don't go through because these are ancient cities. So our hotel, I could see the convention center steps from my hotel, but it was a mile and a half in a car to get there because none of the streets go through.
Wow. That's awesome. And so what else did you do besides go to the Hemp Expo?
Well, really that consumed most of our time. Mm-hmm. We did have some amazing meals. We did get to explore. We had some great opportunities to connect with the other speakers. Really fortunate to get to spend some time with Paul Benham from the Hemp Plastic Company. He also was the founder of Elixinol and Hemp Foods Australia.
Yeah, sure.
Also had a real sweet meeting unplanned with Ben Droggs, who started Hemplax, which we all look at as the leader in fiber in the world. So not just the on-the-ground opportunities at the expo and with the Asian community, but it was really opportunistic to be with the other international kind of OGs of the space as well. So it was a great experience.
That's awesome. Was the language barrier an issue for you?
I never could understand or speak a word of Thai. Didn't even really try. I apologize to all my Thai friends, but most of the Thai speak really good English, or at least somebody in the group speaks English. I will say, and it was notable, the culture in Thailand, and I transferred through South Korea, so I was there for a little bit as well. They are much more helpful and willing to help those of us that don't speak the language than we are here when we encounter travelers.
That's very interesting. What was the weather like?
Weather was hot, 90 plus degrees, 90+% humidity, sweat through your clothes in 10 minutes if you walk outside.
Whoa. Wow. So you glad to be home?
Yeah, catching up. It's always good to be home. I'm fortunate to live in a great place, and I always look forward to traveling, and I always look forward to coming home.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Gregg, I appreciate the time that you gave us here so I can hear about it.
Happy to share with those that are interested. Thanks for including us in the show, Eric.
Mandi Kerri from the Global Hemp Association. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thanks, Eric.
So you're still in Bangkok?
I am. I'm actually overlooking this beautiful view where the convention center was. And so
nice. So it's 8:30 at night for me. What time is it there for you?
8:30 a.m.
Wow.
I'm a day ahead of you, or 12 hours ahead of you.
So you're in the future.
I'm in here tomorrow. That's right.
All right. Well, don't tell me anything about the future because that'll mess up the space-time continuum. But I would like to hear about. I want to hear about this Asian Hemp Summit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So earlier I talked to Morris Beegle and Gregg Gnecco, who I'm starting to piece together. You were sort of part of the same sort of delegation. So I wonder if you can sort of tell me how this all came together and what your role in it has been.
Yeah. National Industrial Hemp Council received MAP money, marketing money from the USDA to help promote international trade of the hemp industry and expansion of the industry. And something I learned that, was really, really hit home for me while being here is the importance of us being able to drive the industry through international markets and give our farmers or our processors some pull because, for the textile industry, for example, the few spinners we have is not enough to really drive the market. So being able to loop in, out of or industry that is not necessarily in U.S. to drive that market. So being able to connect, say, IND Hemp's fiber to a weaver in India who is selling fiber or material to Thailand for suits then gives, more reason or more pull back to our farmers and our farmers markets. So,
cool. So what? Just tell me about your experience. What was it like? What, I don't know. I can't even picture what Bangkok is like. So just, tell me.
I could just go on and on. It's the culture has been absolutely amazing, very inviting, very welcoming, very eager to learn, which has been really exciting. We were able to bring a lot of knowledge that they just didn't have. A lot of the focus is still very cannabinoid focused. Mm-hmm. And no discredit, it's very valuable, but I think that, what they weren't aware of are the fiber and grain opportunities. And there were a couple of companies here representing other fiber materials, some textiles that were blended with, polymers or rayon and viscose, but then there were also some, auto parts and, hemp plastic was here, hemp flax was here. So there were a lot of large organizations internationally that came to showcase basically capabilities that we could do, utilize hemp for. And the culture, like I said, itself is they were very inviting. The conference was surprisingly large. There were quite a few people, a few hundred people out on the floor. It was well organized. We had great international speakers. And the people on the floor also walking came from all different countries. I probably collected 20 different business cards from different countries looking for opportunities from the United States to support either in development and or supply. It was also really eye-opening to hear the interest from all of these different countries in U.S. fiber. Whether they were manufacturing in the U.S. or not, the consumer is very interested in United States fiber.
That's amazing. Do they know much about our industry at this point?
I feel like we're back in 2019 or 2018 in the United States. We are definitely I would say the conference surprised me. It was much more advanced than what I anticipated. It was more, I would say it replicated a NoCo, a successful NoCo. There were a lot of people out on the floor, but I think that there is still a lack of understanding to the type of industry that hemp opens up.
What do you mean by that?
There was a lot of focus on CBD growth. Really in every corner there is a CBD shop or a marijuana shop now in Thailand, but there aren't a lot of production. There isn't a lot of production for the sustainability aspect around building materials or, auto parts or grain and food. And that being able to impact a community. I had a great conversation with the Phuket Chamber of Commerce that is really looking to bring the food to their market, the protein supplements to their market, and they were completely unaware of those capabilities or potentials, where they were fully aware of the CBD or health and wellness side of the medicine.
Wow, that's so interesting. Huh. So it was like a teaching moment, like you were able to tell them about it. Wow.
Yeah, we had lots of teaching moments. And since I've been able to meet with a number of people, we also had a great opportunity with Gregg and Morris. One of my members, Shripot, with Weaving Vibes from India, came over to Thailand to meet with us. And while he was here, we introduced him to IND Hemp, where we are going to ship fiber from IND to Weaving Vibes to make fabric. And then we brought him also to the tailor where they ordered his fabric. So we were able to complete a supply chain from U.S. fiber into the suits we all ordered.
Wow.
And it was a teaching moment, even sitting with the tailor to help him identify that, listen, every one of these cannabis shops you see are now a client to you. You now have hemp product that resonates with those that are after the cannabis or the medical side. And so it became this full circle and a teaching moment, not just on what the value of the fiber is or hemp industry is, but how to expand the markets locally and internationally.
That's amazing. What else? Were there, out on the expo floor, were there, things that surprised you or products that maybe you hadn't seen before?
It was interesting to me. Something that came up is how close we are to China and the concern of price that was being charged for some of the equipment that was being sold, and so definitely see the, I don't know if corruption is the right word, but a fear of being overcharged or taken advantage of by the locals or by some of the businesses, knowing that they could purchase same equipment from China for a quarter of the price. And so trying to navigate what's real and what's fake, I guess, or, what is corrupt, I was kind of surprised by. I didn't anticipate that, but it was interesting to see already consumers fully aware of the business aspect of this industry. So,
Wow. So you've been in Thailand for 2 weeks, you said? I think you said that. What other things have you seen? I can't imagine you've just been at the expo the whole time. Have you gotten to travel around the country a bit?
I did. I spent 5 days in Bangkok at the conference. Our hotel is pretty close, so we got to ride a tuk-tuk, which is like a little motorcycle with a cart on it. And got to tour around and see, Bangkok quite a bit, and then back and forth from a conference center. The food is absolutely amazing. The hospitality is amazing. The people are very, very kind and welcoming. Like you said, eager to learn and eager to, advance their knowledge and their community and give back to their communities. And then I went to Chiang Mai and visited some ancient ruins and temples and really dove into the culture there, which was really, really fascinating. Yeah. And then I went over to Phuket for a little while and did the same thing, went up to the Big Buddha. Weather has been more rainy than normal. It's their dry season. But in Phuket, it was really cool because when we walked up to the Big Buddha, you could see her clear as day. It's very, very clear up on the top of the mountain. And by the time we left, she had disappeared because of the fog and weather.
Oh, wow.
That, I think, was it was just fascinating to see the change and the amount of respect that people have for each other. It was awesome. And I think that drives to why Thailand or Asia becomes a partner of the U.S. hemp industry. We have an opportunity to really feed their market and feed into existing supply chains. Hemp is not necessarily a replace all, but an opportunity for us to support existing markets. And they have a lot of infrastructure that would allow them to manufacture, but not necessarily infrastructure to farm or grow like we can. And so it allows our farmers potential to develop markets while we build infrastructure in the U.S. or technology in the U.S.
Wow. Were you involved in any conversations about like regenerative ag or climate change mitigation through growing of hemp?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. And again, I think that was that lack of awareness or an education opportunity that I had because a lot of the people that came by our booth were focused on CBD production. Where it became interesting is when you get investment capital that comes in and is looking for opportunity to, where do we place our money and where did we as the U.S. delegation see the markets going, whether it be cannabis or, high THC, low THC, food, fiber, grain, things like that. And it allowed us an opportunity to shed light on this additional piece of the climate smart, commodity.
Sure.
When I was in Phuket, I had an opportunity to meet with a builder from one of the hotels who was building a smart city, basically, and really was enthralled and completely unaware of the capability that hemp had to lend to the support of his build of his hotel that he was building, sparking that conversation that, here the city, the Chamber of Commerce in Phuket is looking to develop the market for industrial hemp. And here you've got these big buildings that are focused on sustainability and, low energy, but did not connect the two. And so, we definitely sparked those conversations.
That's so amazing. That's awesome. Was the language barrier a problem for you?
No, not. I didn't think that it was. English is definitely a second language over here. And where we were was definitely more tourist. And so we had a lot of English speaking locals.
Nice.
And it's funny too, there were a couple of others that came from the U.S. who have lived in Thailand that hung out in our booth. A couple members of mine were over here, and so they spoke fluent Thai. So if there were any questions, we just kind of leaned on them.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
I never went without something because I couldn't correspond.
Cool. So describe for me, if you can, the city of Bangkok.
Oh, it's a city that never ends. It was funny. We took some taxis and rode the SkyTrain. Their public transportation is incredible, very inexpensive to get around and very easy to get around. But we would leave the city, or I thought I was leaving the city to go to another part of the town or the country, and it was like the city just kept going. It is. I'll have to send you some pictures and share pictures on our social page of the skyline. It's humongous, and I've been here for 2 weeks now, and I don't feel like I've seen anything compared to what options are. It's pretty impressive, and there are tons of alleyways, and in every alleyway there are houses and homes and shops and massage parlors and restaurants. You can definitely tell the local industry is very competitive for wages and pay.
Right.
And so, once you step out of the tourist area, and it's not like there's a big divide. The locals live within those tourist areas.
Right. Are you looking forward to getting home?
I am, but I'm also looking forward to coming back.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be home, and my work, as you can imagine, is piled up, and I've got lots of things I'm excited to do and progress to make in the U.S. But I feel so welcomed here by the culture and the community and the impact that we're able to make. It's so rewarding. And the fact that it ties back to support both U.S. and their local community is even more exciting.
Yeah. So it really is the Global Hemp Association, right? Like you're just like your world is expanding. That's so awesome to hear you talk about this.
It's been pretty fun. I looked up the other day, Eric. We, on our platform in the last few months, have had 76 countries log in to our platform to find information or correspond. And so Global Hemp Association really is trying to connect these dots, or connecting these dots.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, Mandi Kerri, I'm happy for you, and I'm excited for this whole U.S. delegation going over there. This is great. I feel like through my interviews here, I got to see a little bit of it, vicariously. But yeah, this is great. So thank you for sharing time with me.
Absolutely. I'll send you over some pictures, Eric, and I'll be sure to share them on our social pages. And yeah, I'm excited for next time. For anybody else that is interested in exporting markets or helping to expand U.S. market through international trade, it's a great opportunity. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for explaining it all to me, and just sort of, now it makes sense, like why we had some folks over there. So cool.
Thanks, Eric. Bye-bye.
All right. Now we know a little bit more about the Asia International Hemp Expo. Thanks again to Morris Beegle, Gregg Gnecco, and Mandi Kerri. Really appreciate you all making time for me here. Hey, if any of you have questions about what you heard here, you want to get in touch, send me an email, send it to podcast@lancasterfarming.com. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. So, okay, I hope you enjoyed this special episode. So, okay, until next time, I will see you in the newspaper.
ตอนนี้เป็นลิขสิทธิ์ปี 2022 โดยหนังสือพิมพ์ Lancaster Farming มันถูกเขียนบันทึกแก้ไขและผลิตโดยเอริก เฮอร์ล็อก ดนตรีโดยงานกระดีบุก
This special episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2022 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show was written, recorded, edited, and produced by yours truly, Eric Herlock. The music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.
Industrial hemp.